Hey, what's up everyone? Hope you're all having a fantastic day. Thought it'd be time to do another Q&A segment, so I've got a couple of your questions here on my phone, so let's get started. So the very first question's from Nicole, and she says, what's the best beginner DSLR camera that's not too expensive but has great image quality? Nicole, I'd be looking at something like a used Canon T2i or Canon T3i. They're probably around about 4 or 5 years old now, but they're all fantastic cameras, and the image sensor with a lot of those Canon DSLRs or the Rebel series hasn't really changed a lot. So you can pick them up really cheap. I remember actually just about a week ago I was looking at a Canon T3i, which is a 600D, and that was on sale for $250 secondhand on Gumtree, which is super cheap. So you could pick one up for around about 250 bucks and then get a nice lens like the Canon 50mm f1.8 or a Sigma 30mm f1.4, and you'll have a great package for around about $500. So next up, top 5 Dunya writes, hi, what is your microphone? Well, at the moment I'm using a Sennheiser EW100 G3. It's a wireless lavalier and it costs around about $600, but it is a wireless transmitter and receiver, so that's why it generally costs a bit more. I always recommend using a lavalier mic, especially if you've got a nice sit-down situation like this where you don't actually have to boom a mic. So yeah, the Sennheiser, it's a fantastic microphone. So next up, Jasper writes, hey Chris, I'm looking to invest in a Canon T6i. Have you had any experience with it and how does it handle video-wise? Yeah, definitely. I have been using the Canon T6i and T6S for quite a while now. I did pretty much a full month reviewing those cameras and they're really fantastic. In terms of video quality, they're very similar to the other Rebel cameras like the T2i, T3i, but they do have a few different features. The hybrid autofocus is fantastic. It's not at the level of a Canon 70D, but it's pretty good for most occasions, so I highly recommend it. You'll love the Canon T6i. So next up, 12 Blackmagic 12 writes, is the lack of IS on the Sigma 35mm f1.4 a big problem for video? Well, it's going to come down to what body you're using it on. If you're using it on a full frame body, I don't think you really need that much image stabilization because it's quite a wide angle. But if you're going to be using it on a crop censored body like the Canon 70D or a Canon T6i or something like that, having IS on a lens can be quite a nice thing. So Mara writes, 18 to 135 and 24 to 105 with the Canon 70D, which one's better? Both fantastic lenses. The 24 to 105's probably got slightly better image quality and it's a little bit sharper. But on the other hand, on a crop sensor like the Canon 70D, having that 18mm wide angle is really, really useful. And the other thing, if you're going to be doing any video work, that 18 to 135 has that STM motor where the 24 to 105 doesn't, and the autofocus just pairs up with it so well. So if you want to get a little bit wider angle, better autofocus and have a cheaper lens, I'd probably go for the 18 to 135. So next up, Nosha writes, do you think that being a photographer is a job that won't exist in the future? No, definitely not. I think that there will always be people who want to be photographers and they'll be passionate enough and they'll be good enough to make it a job. I think that if you have that passion, that you have that creativity, there's always going to be a marketplace for it. And even though traditional media is kind of heading in the opposite direction, I think that there are always going to be people who will make it a job, and if they won't, I will. And last but not least, DJ Timothy writes, Photoshop or Lightroom, which one do you prefer? I prefer Photoshop for most occasions. I've been using it for around about 8 or 10 years now, and it's a fantastic program, especially if you're going to be doing any kind of compositing or layer work. I have been using Lightroom a fair bit in the last probably 3 or so years now because I've been using VSCO, which is kind of a film emulation software, and that's fantastic as well, but most of the time I'm using Photoshop. So there you go guys, another Q&A video for you. Hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any other questions, make sure to leave them in the comments below and I'll answer them in a future video. Hope you're all having a fantastic day and I'll see you later. Bye.